Good morning, everyone. Yesterday we have completed this chapter, security, and what is left is the interpretation of the pictures and cartoons which is given in this chapter. So, today we will start with this only. Okay, so it is the picture which is presented by United Nations Development Program in the year 1994, UNDP. Every year, this United Nations Development Program presents a human development report. It's not concerned about the economic development, but its main concern is human development. And in this report, in the report which was presented in the year 1994, it was said in the report that the world is only focusing on the traditional concept of security, that is the security of the country only. But actually, what was the more important problem was what are the more important threats to security is these are the threats. Suppose there is a lack of food, hunger, then terrorism. These are the problems which are presented in the picture. The problem of drinking water, natural calamities, then the problem of living space in the urban areas. So, for the first time, this UNDP has started the focus of the security from nation to human. What is important to make the lives of the human secure. Okay, so it contended that the concept of security has far too long been interpreted narrowly. Why it was interpreted narrowly? Because it was considering only the security of the country, not the security of the people, wherein the concern of the concept of security. It has been more related to nation states than people. Forgotten were the legitimate concern of ordinary people who sought security in their daily lives. For an ordinary person, what is security? As an ordinary person, we are not concerned about our borders or what is happening with another country. What are the problems of our day to day life that must be solved by the government? The human lives should be secured. So this is the picture which is presenting that view. Now we will consider another whatever pictures are there. So this is what screaming peas. This pigeon indicates world peace. White pigeon is the symbol of peace, isn't it? And what we see here that this pigeon is trying to be tamed by a military personnel. So this is the thing which is happening in the world. We cannot bring peace by the use of force. Peace is something which can be brought not by using the force. This is the picture which is depicting this fact that we are going in the wrong direction. There is a UN, the United Nations organization, many times in many parts of the world sends this peacekeeping force. So it's a paradox. Why is it paradox? Because we are bringing peace with the help of force. That is not possible. And the best example of this is the condition which was prevailing in Iraq when America attacked Iraq in 2003. American force won the battle, but still it was not able to bring peace there. Okay, why? It was very powerful. It defeated Saddam Hussein very easily. Still, it was not able to bring peace in that region, because peace is something which cannot be brought by force. So, this peacekeeping force, which is sent by the UN, that itself is a paradoxical term. Okay, then this is the picture of a missile which is made up of dollars. This depicts that how the arms, we know that there is a type of arm race among different countries, and mostly what happens that the developed countries sell these arms because of advanced technology. They are able to prepare more advanced weapons and rockets and missiles and all these things. These are sold by developed countries to developing countries, and in this way, what happens that the developed countries or the countries which are selling the weapons or arms, they want that there should be always a condition of unrest, condition of conflict between the countries. Because in that condition, what will happen that the countries will purchase more and more arms, and if the countries will purchase more and more arms, then the countries who are selling the arms will be at a benefit. So this is economy of war. Now this is the picture nuclear powers club. This is the club of nuclear power countries, and we know that there are five countries which are officially which have nuclear weapons. These are America, Russia, France, Britain, and China. So these are the big powers which are here. These are the big powers, and these are other countries, North Korea and Iran. These countries are also possessing nuclear weapon, but they are the unofficial owner of the nuclear weapon. And it is why it has made unofficial, why it has been legitimated that only five countries will be right to have the nuclear weapons. Other countries cannot gain that nuclear weapon. It is argued that these five countries are responsible countries. They are trustworthy. If they are having the nuclear weapons, uh, it is a type of trust that they are not going to use that nuclear weapon in a wrong manner. But if small countries like North Korea and Iran can have this nuclear weapon, then what happens that they can misuse that nuclear weapon because they are not trustworthy. So this is the condition. These are the big powers who consider themselves that they are the only owners of the nuclear weapons. But when the small countries like Iran and North Korea is also possessing the nuclear weapon, then they are reacting in such a manner कि how can they equate ourselves? They cannot equate us. Now you can see another picture. This is the picture. Uh, in this what we find that the condition of the third world countries is depicted through this picture. Third world countries are those countries which became independent after the second world war. Okay, first world is capitalist countries, second world is communist countries or socialist countries, and third world is those countries which gained independence after the Second World War. So in this picture, what we find that this is the picture of a missile, okay, and this is a pram which is used by small kids, and this is a person who belongs to third world countries. This is the whole picture is of third world country. Now what happens that in this picture it is depicted that a person who is living in a third world countries, he is in need of uh, his he wants to fulfill his basic needs such as food is the most important need of a person, and the country is not able to fulfill the basic needs of the people. And you must have seen this type of scene in your country also, when the people like many times they look for something useful, something to eat in we can say it dustbin. So what is he finding? He is in search of he wants to fulfill the basic needs of his life, but he is not getting the proper needs. All the needs of his life are not getting fulfilled. The country is not able to fulfill the basic needs of its citizens. But the country is spending on what? The country is spending on arms. This is the missile which is purchased by the country for the purpose of security. But what kind of security are you providing to the people when you are not able to fulfill the basic needs of their life? So this picture depicts that paradoxical situation in which you are making your country secure by purchasing the arms, but as you are spending too much money on these arms and ammunition, and because of that you are not able, instead of spending money on purchasing arms and ammunition, you should have spent that money for fulfilling the basic needs of the people. So this is the situation of third world countries. Now this is a terror meter, okay. Terror meter, this was designed by the Department of Homeland Security. It's a type of sarcasm. Why is it sarcasm? Because in this first of all you should understand this picture. Just consider this picture, it's a terror meter, and if you are here it will indicate that you need to you are very much secure, you need to terrorize less. If you are here, then you need to be guarded because your terror meter is the blue region, okay. And if your indicator is in this yellow region, then you need to be more terrorized than these two reasons, because now you are your security is under threat. Then if the indicator goes in this orange region, then you need to be more terrorized, and in this red you need to be super terrorized. So this is a type of terror meter, the picture a picture of terror meter, which is only an imagination. There cannot be any kind of uh, there cannot be any such a terror meter in this earth, because the terrorist groups, terror created by terrorist groups is such that no one can measure that terror. No one can understand that, no one can comprehend, no one can think that where are they going to attack, where the terror attack is going to happen. And all this terror meter, it this was created at that time when there was a terror attack on World Trade Center in 2001. At that time, the people of America were terrorized. So now it is it is through this terror meter, it is sarcasm that काश ऐसा होता कि कोई टेरर मीटर होता through which we can measure the intensity of terror, and because of that intensity of terror हम उतना ही डरते जितना कि टेरर की इंटेंसिटी होती, but there is no such terror meter, and the terrorist can attack any of the countries because it was considered that USA, the security in US is so much to such a high degree that no one can think of attacking US in that way in which it was attacked in 2001. No one can think of that situation, but that happened. So it's about the condition which is prevailing in the country. Now I'm reading the text. The text says, whether elevated or under attack. The Department of Homeland Security, this is the Department of US administration, terror meter takes the uncertainty out of staying informed of the level of terror in our nation. What is the level of terror? We must be informed. Okay, so this is a sarcasm. We can never know the level of terror in our nation because the attack done by terrorists is very no one can know about those attacks, and no one can stop, you can say, because the way it was done in US. Move the terror indicator to the current threat level, which corresponds to how terrified the American people are of the threat of terror attacks. So, terror is all around us and can strike at any time. This is the main word, that terror is all around us and can strike at any time, at any place also. Thanks to the terror meter, you will never have to wonder how terrified you should be. Proceed with caution. So there is no terror meter exists in the real world. You will never know that how terrified you should be, how much terrified you should be, and you have to proceed with your own caution only. No one can do anything for you. This is the uh, meaning of this terror meter. Now, this is security on duty. He knows if you are naughty or nice. This is about how, in the guise of security, the countries become more and more powerful. In the beginning of that chapter, I told you now many times um, uh, we are kept in dark by the government that this is a security matter. You cannot, you don't have any right to know about all these things because these are security matter. In the guise of this kind of security matter, what happens that the government increases its power. The line you can read, he knows if you are naughty or nice. So there is no privacy because of security concern, and government is interfering in our life. This is the um depicted by this picture. Now, this cartoon comments on the massive expenditure on defense and lack of money for peace related initiative in the US. So it's about US. What we find is that the country is spending too much on its defense and security, and for peace related matters there is no expenditure by the very less expenditure by the government. So this is the situation. In this you can read, can we have a few $1 million for a department of peace we have so much, we are spending so much money for the purpose of defense and security. But what about peace? We must spend some money for Department of Peace also. This is told, no, we can't afford it. This is a military personnel who is saying, though, no, we can't afford to spend money on Department of Peace because they are spending too much for defense. $300 billion has been spent on Iraqi war. Then $67 billion uh, jet affairs. Then 425 billion per year. And defense department is spending $425 billion per year. Then $100 billion has been spent in Afghan war. So these are the expenditure which US is doing on defense purpose, and for the purpose of peace, they are not spending sufficient money. So this is not the only condition. This is not the condition which is prevailing only in America, but there are many other countries. Most of the countries are doing in the same way. So this is the situation which is prevailing in today's world. Now, this is, don't take the security out of social security. It's about social security that in when we talk about security, we don't talk about social security. We talk only about the security of the country for which so many money is spent on the for the on defense. But actually, what is the need? The need is to make people make the social security important. Means there should be end of poverty, there should be end of diseases. All these come under social security. So this is the duty, this is the responsibility of the government to provide security to the people. This is a type of train information. Uh, on the platform, you must have seen this type of type of informations. A train, from where it is coming and its status. Has it arrived or it is to arrive? This is about the terrorist attacks which were done in various countries. Uh, it's about Madrid. Madrid is in Spain, where it was attacked on 11th of March. Okay, and so the status is arrived. The train of terror has arrived Madrid on 11th of March. Okay, then London. In London also the train of terror has arrived on 7th of July. Then in Mumbai also the train of terror has arrived on 11th of July. So this is the condition of terror attacks. Because up next, who is the target? No one knows. Who is which country is going to be attacked by terrorist group? No one knows. It can be any country. So this is depicting the problem of terrorism. Okay, any country can be the next target of terrorist attack. Now, uh, this is the picture of uh, this is the picture of the street where we find that many people like them are there. He's a type of beggar, we can say him beggar, and he is lying on the road, and no one is thinking of that person. No one is taking care of that person, as if he does not exist. His existence is not a matter for people. So this is also about poverty, the insecurity. People the insecure life people are living in countries, in developing countries like this. This is the data of life expectancy and infant mortality rate. Life expectancy is life in years at the time of birth. Um, mm, Life expectancy, how many years a person is expected to live at the time of birth, what is his expected life, it is called life expectancy. Expectancy is more in developed countries, and in developing countries we find that life expectancy is less. Here we find in sub-Saharan countries, life expectancy is just 40 years. It is expected from people only to live 40 years in sub-Saharan countries. These are the poorest countries of the world, because these belong to the uh, uh, developing world, and they are the poorest countries. Okay. Now there is another fact. Nearly all societies with average life expectancy above 70 years have personal income above $1,000. It is said that in those countries only people have life expectancy of 70 years above, which countries have personal income above $1,000. ठीक है? The country which have $1,000 personal income, per capita income is $1,000. Only those countries expect their um, mm, expect their people to live more than 70 years. But what we find that in 1975 the the average income of Cubans was uh, the life expectancy of Cubans was 70 years, and their average income was $540. So what we find, $540 is less than $540 is less than $1,000. Still, people are able to live 70 years of their life. The life expectancy is 70 years. Then in Sri Lanka, what we find that the average income is $200, and which is far less than $1,000. Still, people are living. The expectation of their life is 80 years. In Brazil, people are earning only $750 per month, and still their life expectancy is 61 years. In the same way, in Libya also we find that the average income is $3,000, and life expectancy is 53 years. So what should be the conclusion? The conclusion is that income and service distribution within countries uh, influence the health status of the society. It is not that if income is more, then that country will then only that country will be able to achieve high life expectancy, because if in the income is lower, still in that case what we find is that a country can have good life expectancy, because services which is provided by the country is good, the health services which is provided by the country is good. So in these countries we can say that social security is there, people are leading a secured life, because government is because service which is provided by the government is good, though the income is not good, but the services which is provided by the government is good, and because of that the life expectancy is also high. Then infant mortality rate is the number of babies dying before they reach the age of 1. ठीक है? When they reach the age of one. Before that, the number of children who dies per thousand births, that is called infant mortality. We see how much difference is there in the developing countries and developed countries. In developed countries, infant mortality rate is very very low because of the developed health facilities, because of the good nutrition people are getting. All these things are included in Sweden. We find that only three infant dies in 1,000. Three in 1,000. Sweden, which is a European country, which is a highly developed country. Now, if we see on average in developed countries, it is 1 in 100. Sweden is the at the highest rank, but in developed countries, if in average, on average, we can see that only one child is dying in total 100. Okay. Now, Indian subcontinent. In the Indian subcontinent, but we find that one children die in every seven, and in parts of Africa, it's 1 in 5. So, what we find that in developing countries, the it's very low. In 1,000 there are three children, in 100 there is one children. But if we consider the Asia and Africa, we find that this number is increasing. So infants and children are most vulnerable due to food shortage supply. The main problem is the problem of food. Other than health services are not also good, then sanitation condition of sanitation is also not good. These are the reasons for the increased infant mortality rate in developing countries. So this is presented through pie chart. This is the pie chart of developed world and this is the developing world. Deaths among children below the age of 5. So below the age of 5. This was only below the age of 1. This is below the age of 5. So in developing countries, 50% uh, uh, of the total death occur before below the age of 5, and in developed countries it's only 5%. So where the world's displaced people are being hosted, where they take refugee. 16% of the total number of people who migrate, who refuse from their place, they take shelter in America, 11% in Asia Pacific, 30% in Africa, 26% in Middle East and North Africa, 17% in Europe. So it's about where the displaced people, where they find their place, new place. So this is a type of, we can say it's a country which is facing the problem of natural disaster, which is also facing the problem of terrorism. And the country is supposed to maintain a balance between all these problems. So these are the security concern. These are the threats: natural disaster and terrorism. So this is what that the world is facing these two problems: war and terrorism. These are also the security threats which are faced by the whole world. On the one hand, it's war, and on the other hand, it's terrorism. So now your chapter is complete here, and we will start the new chapter in the next class. And you do your homework, which is given in your snap work. Go and see it,